Thank you so much. President Moorhead, distinguished members of the Platform Party, faculty, but most of all, to all of you who are graduating and all of your loved ones who are here today, it is an honor to stand before you and to share this celebration with you. Most of you will little note nor long remember what I say here. You, on the other hand, are about to embark on careers in teaching, research, the performing arts, public service, public health, business, science, technology, and so much more. Your discoveries, your creations, your innovations, your service, and your impact as leaders and teachers, healers and defenders, entrepreneurs and visionaries is what will make an indelible mark in the years to come. The heights you reach in all your many fields is what will be honored and remembered in ways that I can only begin to imagine. Today marks the end of a special time, a rare opportunity to focus intently and to become an expert in a particular part of a particular field. Graduate school is largely about specialization, about honing in, mastering a topic. Particularly if you are graduating with a PhD today, you probably know more than anybody else in the world about at least some aspect of your chosen field of study. That's the aim of graduate education, because you are the ones on whose shoulders future generations shall stand. Today is also National Violin Day. I kid you not, there's a day for everything. That's significant to me because my father was a violinist. The violin happens to be my favorite instrument. And in my spare time, as President Moorhead said, I'm writing a biography of a man named Jascha Heifetz, perhaps the greatest violinist who ever lived, that I started with my father before he died. So it seems particularly fitting on this National Violin Day to include my father in this speech, as I honor him for what he did to help me succeed and secure my education. Think of your family members and mentors who made today possible for you. I know many of them are seated here today with tremendous pride in your accomplishments. My father was an immigrant born in Sicily in 1920 who came to the United States with his family when he was just a year old. His family came to the United States in search of the American dream, and my father found it, embracing education as a bootstrap and a liberating force. He was the first in his family to graduate from high school, and he eventually went to college with the help of the GI Bill after serving in World War II, securing a graduate degree and ultimately becoming a college professor. My father maintained a childlike enthusiasm for education throughout his life, precisely because he never took it for granted. He knew what it was like to be deprived of it. When I was a very small boy, my father taught me to be observant of my surroundings and to look for loose change that people had dropped. In those days, people actually carried money, so there was occasionally change that dropped to the ground. And I suspect my father probably would drop a little extra on purpose to make sure that I would find some. But one day my father stopped when we were walking down the street with my eyes glued to the ground looking for pennies. And he said, "Johnny, you're growing up. Hunting for pennies is for little kids. It's time to look around you for much more valuable things." I looked at him and I said, "What do you mean?" And my father said, "All around you, in every direction, are amazing things to learn about. If you are curious and observant and look for those things and make an effort to learn about them, then you will be far richer than you will ever be picking up pennies and nickels. You'll be a millionaire of the mind, he said. It's a lesson I've never forgotten. Another lesson my father taught me was to take risks. Don't do wildly foolish things. Don't get in a barrel and cascade over Niagara Falls, but take calculated risks. Most of all, don't ever let the fear of failure or the fear of the unknown keep you from doing things. Do your best, aim for success. When failure comes, as surely it will at some point, learn from it and move on. When my dad was 74 years old and I was 34, we went back to Sicily. It was the first time my father had been back since 1921 when he came to this country, and it was the first time that I'd ever been there. We landed in a city called Messina, one of the largest cities in Sicily. I had booked a rental car. My travel agent had assured me that it would have an automatic transmission. Guess what? It didn't. And there did not seem to be a car with an automatic transmission to be found anywhere in the city of Messina. So I turned to my father and I said, well, I guess that means you're going to drive. And he looked me straight in the eye and he said, no way. And I said, what do you mean, no way? You've driven a stick for much of your life. You can do this. And he said, I'm old. I've forgotten how to drive a stick shift. You've got to do it. Well, with much trepidation, I grudgingly took the driver's seat and off we went. I lurched into rush hour traffic, and picture this, not just rush hour traffic, Italian rush hour traffic. Grinding gears, sweating like a bullet, swearing under my breath at my father. We went back to our hotel to pick up our suitcases, and I see my father with far too much glee talking in Italian to the man at the front desk, telling him about my plight. I brought the suitcases to the car. My father gets in. The next thing you know, the desk clerk, all of the employees at the hotel, a whole bunch of Italian guys have surrounded the car, are shouting instructions to me in Italian and gesticulating about what I should be doing. Little old Italian women are leaning out of the second floor windows of the hotel waving handkerchiefs, and I lurch away from that hotel feeling absolutely horrible. Over the next 10 days, I drove all over the island of Sicily, on highways and back roads, cities and medieval towns, with the narrowest streets I've ever encountered, harrowing, winding mountaintop roads with no guardrails that sometimes narrowed to one lane, which meant somebody had to back up if you met another car along that road. My adrenaline was flowing full throttle. And I'll never forget the first night at our hotel. The whole right side of my body ached because I'd been so tense that whole day. But I tell you what, I could drive that car after 10 days. And it was with a keen sense of triumph that I zipped that car back to that car rental agency, weaving in and out of Italian cars that were speeding around me, honking at them the way they'd been honking at me that first day, expertly backing my car into the space for it. And I got out of the car and my father looked at me and he said, "See, I knew you could do it." And then I realized he hadn't forgotten how to drive a stick shift. He just wanted to see me rise to the challenge. "What if I'd failed?" I said. He shrugged his shoulders and said, "Then I would have driven." I feigned annoyance, but to this day I'm glad that my father made me face the challenge. Let me close with a lightning round of advice. First, find a passion outside of work that will inspire and invigorate you. A work-life balance is essential, and finding and cultivating those other passions is the surest way to achieve it. Second, keep a journal, keep a diary. You are going to lead fascinating lives, and even writing about what seems now to be the most mundane things will be, believe me, fascinating when you go back and read about them 20 or 30 or 40 years from now. I've been keeping a diary for over 55 years, through good times and bad, and it's become a reminder whenever I feel overwhelmed that I've survived worse in the past many times, and I'm probably going to do just fine. Finally, listen to music every day. Music has been one of the greatest joys in my life. It helps me to celebrate when I'm happy. It soothes and comforts me when I'm sad. It inspires me, it gives me goosebumps, and helps me to touch the divine. Studies show the amazing power of music. It engages the entire brain. It activates emotion, stimulates us to tap our feet and dance, and even appears to have amazing therapeutic value. But enough advice from me. I've spoken long enough. Godspeed on the rest of your journey. Keep in touch with your graduate school mentors. Do great things, and never lose that childlike enthusiasm for learning that my father shared with me. Remember his advice to explore the vistas around you. They will take you on incredible journeys. Thank you for your time and attention, and go Dogs.